Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no...
Hey y'all, hey, we are back for another review of All the Queen's Men. Y'all know I be late and forgetting stuff. So last week I didn't get around to doing episode 6. So, you know, I got about a 2-minute briefing that I'm going to do up front real quick. You know, I was under the weather. So, you know, charge it to my head, not my heart. So we're going to jump right into it. Also, I got my second ear hole pierced. I don't know if anybody cares, but I'm going to put it in anyway. I got my second piercing in my ear. I've only had one for the majority of my life and decided to get a second one at my big ass age. So a sinus infection combined with not being able to sleep that well because both of my ears hurt has contributed to my lateness. So yeah. All right, let's jump right into it. Again, I don't know if anybody cares, but I am here. All right. Episode 6 was entitled Never Scared. In that episode, we learned that Big D pretended to kill Casanova as he wandered downstairs where Tommy was located. Not really sure how he pulled that off. What I think is that he really shot Casanova, but non-fatally. If you're a cop or military or trained, you already know some of the information. So that's the only way that I can make sense of him being able to shoot at him or shoot him and it being convincing to a killer such as Tommy. Rayshawn's scary ass has decided that he is going to get revenge on Tandy and Blueface because of what they did to him last season, which I don't think that that's going to fare well because I don't think he has the cojones to follow through, but we'll see. Madam Blue and Tommy are under the impression that Big D is now down and he has earned his way to the main stage. Dime goes home with Big D after yet another flat tire, and I am now under the belief that he is the one flattening that tire because he wants to get close to her so that he can get information out of her. Doubt that she's going to be a viable snitch now that we know that you're also a cop. But yeah, also let's go back to how he ended up at the I was about to say down to the pink. I'm having withdrawals, right? Anyway, how he ended up there, because Blue went to the after hours party that Blueface was, not Blueface, I'm sorry, Babyface was at, that ended up getting the lady killed that fell off the balcony, right? And he just appeared to be a random dancer at that party, and Blue approached him first, right? So it's not like he was trying to get in where he fit in. Get me right in the comments if I'm wrong, if I'm misspeaking. However, Blue picked him out. So out of all the people that were at that private party, you saw the most potential in the damn agent? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not saying Blue is with the people. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it don't add up to me. Like with Casanova, you know, maybe he performed very well at tryouts and that's how he got picked up. We know that that's how he got picked up. But I don't see how Big D ended up there just from a random encounter at a party. I don't know. I don't think the gyration was gyrating that much for you to get picked up, but I don't know. It's a stretch for me. Anyway, moving right along. Fuego is damn near begging Imp to be his friend because they had that heart-to-heart last go round, and it don't really much matter to Imp. He's in the push everybody away mode, so that is where he's going to be with it. He has called that man all types of B words and, you know, just really being demeaning, and so Fuego's going to, you know, walk off like Red did in in Friday when his chain got snatched. He's walking off like that because his feelings is hurt. Madam's dad tells her that she needs to make a move before it's too late as it relates to Tandy and her husband, because he knows that the DA Davis is putting pressure on. They have a lot of information and she needs to make a move. Doc finally gives DA Davis the best that he's got. Yeah, gives her the best that he's got. And she's still begging him to turn on Madam. Babyface shows us just exactly how ruthless he is, because he shows us that he is not sorry about Rayshawn, and he also shows us that he tried to swindle Midnight by not giving him a half of the cut at, you know, at their little after hours money making situation that they had. So somebody's gonna have to beat Babyface's ass, and in episode 7, Doc is gonna do that, and that's gonna do my heart all the good. All right, Dime is drunk and hot and ready and giving Little Caesar's pizza at the end of this episode, episode 6, and Big D goes to his car to get the prophylactic. Is that the right term? Let's just go with projection. Sure. To get the protection, and Casanova is in there. He's not dead. He may be injured. I thought I saw some blood. Can't be sure. Anyway, he has to pretend to be dead because Big D is probably aware that they have a tracker on his car. So he got to stay there a little while longer, even though he's in pain. And he's tired of being, in his trunk. On the way back inside, Amp rolls up on Big D and asks him, hey, who you talking to in the trunk? And so now that is what we're going to pick up at episode 7. Okay? Let's move right into it. All the Queen's Men, season 3, episode 7. I ain't write down the title in my notes, so I'll annotate it somewhere. Or maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, Big D tells Amp, listen, I was talking to myself. Why are you here? Like, are you following me? What's good? What's happening? And Amp tells him, like, no, I'm not following you, but I'm following Dime. So is she up there? Blase, blase, blah. Mind you, this man is already not going to pass a breathalyzer. He's very much intoxicated, got a whole lot going on. Anyway, things get heated between the two of them. Dime comes downstairs to break up the little ego trip. And now Amp and Big D are outside fighting. It's fisticuffs, and they are getting down and dirty. Dime runs to the car because what she was going to do was get the car jack, which, again, some of the stuff be far-fetched. But, girl, you need to break up these two men fighting. And your solution is to go to the car and get the tire jack. I've never, thought of that as a feasible item to break up a fight, unless she was about to knock Amp upside his goddamn head because he was acting a fool. I'm much more likely to believe that, but you claim that you were breaking up the fight. Sure, we'll go with it. Anyway, she runs to the back of the car to get the car jack to break up the fight, and she sees Casanova in there. Casanova, you need to tap into your Academy Award winning skills because he decides, I'm sure he was already in there playing dead. And so she sees Casanova's quote unquote body in the trunk and runs off to her car because she's now upset because now another one of her love interests is a unaliver. Murderer. Yeah, let me go ahead and put this. I've been saying unalive, unaliver, those type of terms because I know on other social platforms that you can't say, kill, murder, those type of terms. I don't know if I have a big enough platform for YouTube to flag it, but I'm trying to be careful. Just so you know. Anyway, Big D also pulls up at the same time, and he's, asking Casanova in the back, like, hey, did you move? Are you sure you didn't move? She saw you, and he's sure that he didn't. He knows that there's a tracker in his car, so he has to go to the lake to simulate dumping the body, or so that, their tracker shows that he actually went to the dump site. And Casanova's like, okay, cool, whatever. He tells him, like, listen, I got to go by there, but after that, I'm going to drop you off at the safe house. And he was like, listen, I know I can't check in with the cops, but I got to talk to somebody. And, of course, that's going to be D.A. Davis because she's the only person that he trusts at this point. Well, by the end of this episode, we going to know that D.A. Davis ain't going to be as trustworthy because shit is getting sticky for her because, remember, she slept with Doc last episode, and that's going to compromise the whole entire investigation at this point. So he's going to drop him off at the safe house. But again, like I said, he has to go by the swamps to simulate the drop off. Blase, blase, blah. Doc calls Madam. He tells her about the detective in the night before and that she's still there. And, Madam wants her to stay put until he gets there. Now, the thing that read suspicious to me is Madam said, let her stay asleep. Leave her there until I get there. And he immediately goes in and wakes her up. And then also proceeds to push up on her, knowing that he does not have any viable evidence. So, I don't know, Doc. It's giving, caught slipping a little bit. And Madam is going to remind you of that when she gets to your apartment. But we'll get there. Moving right along. Davis wakes up and she's pretty much hungover. She done did a whole lot of drinking the night before. Even though Doc told her, like, girl, you need to calm down. Don't get too drunk at my house because I don't want the problems. And of course, obviously, she done drank herself dizzy because she's up and she's looking like, what are you doing in my house? Girl, you're not at your house. You're still at this man's house and this ain't your cover, your sheet, your bed. So, she, comes to the realization of what she did last night. And she also comes to the realization that she's probably ruined her career by way of falling for Doc and his third leg of wonder. And so, you know, she has to come to grips with that. So in the meantime, she's going to run off into the bathroom to pull herself together because she's still got to get ready to go to work and face, you know, her coworkers with this new information based on what she's done last night. Champ is another dancer, and Rayshawn stayed the night over at Champ's house because Trouble got a little attitude and left him over there. And so Rayshawn has lost his girl, his apartment, remember all that, because he was fooling around with Tandy. And now he's, you know, kind of couch surfing, trying to get himself together, trying to get his money up, get back on his feet. Tandy shows up at Champ's house. Obviously she has a tracker on him some way, somehow, and she claims and so Champ gave me confusion as well. This is an episode of confusion because Champ wakes up the next day, him and Rayshawn are talking. Rayshawn is like, hey, you know, thank you for letting me crash. And he says to him, you know, it's cool, but don't think it's free. You're going to have to pay me to stay here. You know, giving very much pimp vibes. And he solidifies that pimp vibe by the end of this conversation with Tandy. So Tandy pays him, Champ, a little bit of money to let her talk to Rayshawn alone. And she tells him, like, listen, me and my husband offer you $25K for you to never mention, you know, our interactions. And, you know, just $25K in an NDA. Nothing major. And so here comes Champ before Rayshawn can really answer the question, because Rayshawn doesn't want money. He wants vengeance. He comes in and Champ is saying, like, no, I want $25K for myself, and you need to run my boy $100K. Because now he knows about the information as well. And so now he needs to be silenced. Not really sure that Tandy and her husband are unalivers, but you could be facing that, you know, with what you got going on with these types of demands as if you are his pimp / manager. And so, you know, he's going to think about it or whatever. And Rayshawn tells Champ, like, listen, I don't want the money. Like, I want them dead. That's what I want for Tandy, her husband. He's like, listen, let's just get this money first, and I'll help you with the other part later. Which, I don't know. I'm kind of guessing like he really just trying to get a payday, and he ain't gonna follow through, and he gonna use my boy Rayshawn up because he's so gullible and naive, as has proven to be the case, but we'll see. All right, so Madam showed up at Doc's apartment, you know, as D.A. Davis is trying to rush out, and, you know, tells her, like, listen, I've caught you in a compromising position, so you need to win me over, basically, and threatens to talk to her boss. And D.A. Davis is deny. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You don't have any evidence. And essentially she does not, but, you know, they're going back and forth, and we know that she's compromised the investigation. And so, you know, she rushes out, and the madam asks her, like, what do you have on her? And Doc's like, listen, I don't have anything. She disabled my cameras, and she scrambled my phone, so I don't have nothing. All I did was, you know, put it down very well, and hopefully she comes back for another dose, and that's all I got to work with. All right, so to be continued, I suppose. Davis goes to the office, and Casanova hasn't checked in, and her colleague introduces her to Jack Wilson. Jack Wilson is running for mayor, and that's Tandy's husband, we presume. I can't remember what he looked like last season, but we're going to presume that is him. They need a plan that aligns with the same time as elections, so it looks good, so he can garner all the votes from people. And the plan is to shut down Madam because she's in the center of the city, and her and the club are a nuisance, and so they gotta all conspire to take her down. And Davis tells them, like, listen, it's not going to be that easy. And they're like, listen, I don't care about easy. I just want it done. She needs to get it done by any means necessary. So this is the second or third person that's told her that she needs to take Madam down by any means necessary, aka illegal. So she has to do things not by the book. And so she walks away, and they're talking, and they're saying, like, nobody really likes her. You know, she's done a whole lot of scheming and scamming to get convictions or whatever in her career. And what they're going to do is bury her with all of her illegal stuff if she doesn't come through on this one issue. In the midst of the conversation, Mr. Jack Watson is trying to recruit officers. He is looking at officers, and whoever the colleague is, the lady that is bringing him through the office, let's just go with D.A. Davis, the supervisor, is like, listen, this ain't the time or the place to be recruiting. We're trying to get you in the office. So she knows who he is and what he likes. That's my presumption based off of that scene. And so, you know, I guess she just has a job to do as well. Well, Davis goes back to the room once they leaves because she had planted a listening device in there, and realizes that they're only using her as a pawn to get him into office. And so now she's pretty much over it, and she's willing to sell them up the stream before they do the same to her, which is why she's going to go to Madam later on in the episode. All right. Big D's trying to explain the body to Dime, and she doesn't want to hear any of it. And for me, she appears to be very high and mighty, considering she's so deeply involved in the club. Like, she's intimately involved in the goings-ons when it comes to Madam. Like, you know, next to Blue and Tommy, she's up there. And we know based on episode, season 1, that Madam has a soft spot for young girls, and I think that's how she came across Dime. But I feel like, Dime, how did you get jumped in? Because you real high and mighty when it comes to, like, all these bodies and all this blood on people's hands. But in order for you to be that intimately, involved with Madam, you should have some on yours. So what's your story? That would be good to know. Anyway, she, her loyalty lies with Madam, at all costs. So she's going to let Madam knows what's going on. And that's exactly what she does. She tells Madam about Casanova's body being in the back of the trunk. And Madam assures her, like, listen, it's fine. He was a cop. I'm on top of it. Girl, calm down. And so I'm assuming that's going to settle her spirits. Though I doubt it, because, again, she is very high and mighty. All right. Blue brings Big D to the back and tells the other guys that Madam wants him to learn the routine for the main stage. Fuego's the only one that's willing to teach him the information, and Babyface is mad because that means that there's one more person that they have to split the money with. Now they got to split the money 6 ways. That comes from the main stage. And Doc says, like, listen, I'm not worried about it. My game is A1, I'm gonna make my money one way or another, so I'm not too worried about it. And Babyface reminds him, like, listen, don't you have a baby to bury? You need all the money you can get. And that just sends Doc, over the edge and ensue fight. And that was definitely low down, and you deserve to get your ass beat. And I'm excited about it. I was excited about it. Moving right along. Madam asks Amp. The back and forth between Dime and Amp was getting out of control. So Madam brings him in her office to have a sit down and come to Jesus with the children. And she asks him, like, listen, did you slash their tires? And he's adamant that he did not. He doesn't really have a reason to lie to Madam at this point. So they're bickering back and forth. And, Madam sends Dime away to talk to her nephew one-on-one. Not as an aunt, as an employee. Essentially, Madam offers him, one last pseudo apology. She just tells him, listen, if you want to play victim, if you want to go through this over and over again, like, yeah, I was about to kill you, but I didn't do it. So if you want to do this over and over again, if you want to hurt yourself in hopes of hurting Dime, do what you got to do, but you need to get it together. And he's combative. He's jumping up and down, and she has to continually remind him again, like, I'm the boss, just not too much. She reminds me, like, life ain't fair. Shit ain't fair. You be all right. And then he asks her, okay, cool. If I'm trying to hurt Dime by hurting myself, who are you trying to hurt by continually hurting yourself? It's a good question. It's a really good question. And I haven't figured out the answer. Maybe it's one of her personalities in her head. Who knows? Who knows? All right. This is where things get interesting. D.A. Davis comes to talk to Madam. She wants to make a deal with her. She has all the information on the investigation. She's willing to tell Madam, who sources are. She even goes as far to admit that Casanova was a plant, that he is a cop. Of course, Madam is giving her no feedback. She's just listening. And she tells her, like, listen, all I want is money. I just want a whole bunch of money, and I'll give you everything they have because they trying to railroad me, and I'm just trying to get mine. That it was, it's the long and short of the conversation. And Madam, doesn't really want to hear any of it, and she shooes her away, which is safe because, girl, you've been trying to ruin my life for years at this point, and now you're coming to work for me. Read suspicious, but, we'll see how it develops. Further, somebody from the nursing home calls Madam's phone, you know, after this conversation with D.A. Davis, and it's Fernando. He tells her, like, listen, that little detail you put on your dad wasn't that great. And he tells her, like, listen, I have built a guillotine, just so you're aware. And, you know, I don't appreciate what you did to my sister-in-law. So, you know, vengeance is mine. Not my husband, my brother is, you know, coming to get you. But in the meantime, I got my own plan. And, she mentions her father and, you know, mentions that she does love him and care about him and all that good stuff. And he tells her, like, listen, I am going to come and get you in Blue. It's definitely on my things to do. And then we hear the sound of a guillotine, you know, and for maybe once or twice in all of these seasons, we see Madam lose her composure and, you know, she's crying and she's screaming. And so we can only assume at this point that he has beheaded her father. We don't actually see it actually happening, which may be a ploy. You know, maybe the sound is enough to trigger her to make her, you know, run to him and it be an ambush. That would be my hope. You know, alternate ending, it actually is her father. And now she got to go and kill everybody else. So, you know, that was it. That's episode 7. Let me know what you think about the episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, or whatever it is that you feel like doing. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
You feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no man.